On tonight's show, I do an impression, Paul is now a guest, and he is British.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. The Fandomain is go.
Hello and welcome to the September 2015 edition of the Fandomain, and with me for this episode and the following episode is Mr. Paul Coleman. Paul, welcome.
Thank you.
This is an episode focusing on the best of British. First on the agenda is the latest game coming from Assassin's Creed, Syndicate. How are we feeling about this being set in Victorian London?
I do have to say it is actually possibly one of the more exciting entries into the Assassin's Creed series. I mean, each new entry is exciting because it's a new story, a new setting. But in fairness, it's the one that I'm most enthused about since hearing about Black Flag, which has divided the fans, but Black Flag was potentially one of the more unique entries prior to Rogue. And if I'm completely honest, it can't be any worse than Unity was. Unity was a good concept, but it failed in a lot of aspects, unfortunately.
You have played Unity, haven't you?
Yes, I've played Unity now.
Aha.
There is stabby, but not as much stabby as I would have hoped.
We on the Fandomain apologise for the graphic violence. Is it any worse than Assassin's Creed 3?
Ironically, Assassin's Creed 3 seemed like a holy grail in comparison to what I felt Unity was. The storytelling in Unity would have been significantly better if the protagonist was Elise. I feel like she was more interesting than Arno was, and Arno had a good story arc, but replace it with a character with more personality.
Yeah.
Even Connor as the HAL 3000?
I call Connor the HAL 9000 meets Batman.
Exactly. I mean, Arno, just a stereotype of French people. He was so loved up with Elise that he wasn't even bothered about committing the assassinations he had to do. He just popped in and goes, oh, there's Elise, I'm off. See ya. Cheerio. What? Except with a French accent.
Yeah, because for some reason we would be confused if a game set in France had natives who spoke in a French accent.
There was very little French in there. In fact, there was more Italian in Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood and Revelations than there was in any of the preceding games.
I mean, Rogue and Black Flag, we got away with them because we had a Welshman and an Irishman. This sounds like the beginning of a joke. But,
they walk into a bar, man says ow.
Yeah, they walk into a blade. But yeah, apparently we got the idea of Italian accents in Italy, Middle Eastern accents in the first one, but somehow English accents in France. What?
That didn't make sense. But going back to the original point of why we're excited of a Syndicate,
yes,
we're getting more in this game, and it's in a London setting, which is actually the most unique aspect of it, that we're getting 5 boroughs to traverse, 2 protagonists, and a story that's in the Industrial Revolution, which we can connect to and relate to more. I mean, I don't know about anybody else. As much as I loved Ezio as a character, I couldn't relate to him because I felt alienated by some of his backstory.
Yeah.
We're talking in very recent history, so we're going to be getting something pretty monumental for it.
Oh yeah, and also with it being the Industrial Revolution as well, it's also going to be bringing the whole class divide thing, which is very, very apt for nowadays, isn't it?
It's very, very apt for nowadays, and it's going back to the core elements of Assassin's Creed. The class divide, stopping oppression and stopping people discriminating against the poor.
Yeah.
But that was lost in about Assassin's Creed 3.
Yeah.
That was lost with the HAL 9000.
Yeah, just a little bit. Now, you mentioned the 2 protagonists there. This is one thing I'm most excited about. Not necessarily because there are 2 protagonists, but because one of them, the first time we're going to have a female playable assassin in a tentpole Assassin's Creed game. Now, I think I mentioned we needing this in the very first episode of the Fandomain last year, but no, I'm very excited about this. And they're both twins, aren't they?
Yeah, Evie
and Jacob Fry.
Yeah.
Now, when they revealed the surname Fry, I thought, oh, are they named after Stephen? But no.
I think Stephen Fry will be first in line then to play the game.
Yes.
Another thing is, ironically, it's not been developed by the main Montreal studio.
No, it's
Quebec,
isn't it?
Yeah. Which did Rogue as well, ironically, which was at times 30 times more interesting than Unity was of the last main entry. It did set the seeds for Unity. It's the seeds.
By the end,
It threw the seeds of what was going to make Unity supposedly an intense, emotional tour de force gameplay that they were looking to create. I'm still waiting for that to appear actually at this moment in time, but obviously with Syndicate coming, we're getting more. So going back to the family side of it, family oppression. progression. And what will be most interesting is, despite the fact a lot of the attention is focusing on Jacob as the lead, Eva has got her own unique style set. Each assassin is uniquely tailored.
Oh yeah,
We've got one that's more brash and upfront fighting.
Because Jacob's more of a brawler. He's more of a in-your-face fighter, and then Evie's more of a stealth fighter. You know, it's more about using your skills. So yeah, if you want to hear more about upcoming games, listen to Press Play right here on BCB Radio. But sticking to the Victorian theme, we got to mention Sherlock Holmes. You know, the next episode of the BBC Sherlock will be set in Victorian times. Now, it's definitely confirmed. It definitely is set in Victorian times. But how do we think this is going to work? Is it going to be some sort of hallucination by some of the main characters, or is it actually going to be just an alternate universe, just a simple alternate universe? How do you think this is going to play?
Well, admittedly, when I first heard that it was going to be set in Victorian time, the first thought that did cross my mind, unfortunately, was it's Sherlock Holmes does a Christmas Carol. It wouldn't surprise me with Stephen Moffat doing something like that, if I'm honest. But I think it's just going to be a self-contained story. It's going to be more referencing the modern, but not directly. It's going to be a Moffat indirect ref. I'd like to see it, as you say, as an hallucination of one of the characters. That would be something unique.
Yeah, Molly wakes up and says, "I just imagined everyone in Victorian times. I don't know why."
It would be something really quite different, but I have a feeling it is going to be a very self-contained universe. But that doesn't take away from the fact that we're going to be getting Benedict back on our screens at Christmas. Christmas.
No complaint here.
I don't know. They've just recently re-aired Sherlock, and I have to say, just revelling in Benedict's brilliance there.
Don't we all? But it seems exactly the kind of thing Moffat would do. Just basically creating a new spin on something and then taking that new thing that's been developed and referencing the original material it came from. It's very rightly.
It's one of them things, though, that we're just going to have to bear with, because I've got a strange feeling that with it being the Christmas episode and with Moffat behind it, there is going to be some kind of catch-22 in there that's going to either make it absolutely stand out fantastic or make people go, wait, did that just happen? What I like about it is it's going to be very relatable for us, being British at the time. We're going to have Syndicate.
Oh, yes.
And Sherlock Christmas special set in Victorian London, and it's going to feel familiar to us. I don't expect to see Jacob or Evie making an appearance in Sherlock, but
or Sherlock making an appearance in Assassin's Creed Syndicate. We're getting both Charleses though, Darwin and Dickens.
We might get Arthur Conan Doyle popping in.
We might get Sir Conan Doyle. Yes, like anything, we'll just have to wait and see. Won't we?
Yeah.
But speaking of Sherlock, one of their main staple actors will be starring in something else that we're proud to be British for. And Monsieur Andrew Scott Moriarty will be featuring in the latest Bond film, Spectre. How excited are we for Spectre?
Spectre is once again going to prove why Daniel Craig is one of the quintessential Bonds that we've had, especially with Skyfall reaching such height. Spectre is already looking to capitalise and cap all of them heights and make Daniel Craig possibly the greatest Bond since Sean Connery made the role iconic, personally.
Of course, that argument was being thrown around when Casino Royale came out, but which is still my personal favourite out of the Daniel Craig's, by the way. But yeah, all sorts in the past year has been coming up about not just Spectre, but about Bond in general. Stephen Hawking, for example, wants to be a Bond villain.
I have to say, there will be nothing more menacing than seeing Stephen Hawking's roll onto the camera screen and threaten James Bond. I mean, that would be just terrifying.
With the theory of everything.
Anyway.
Again, a bit like Skyfall, we're going old and new this time, because we're going to snow-covered mountain tops like on Her Majesty's Secret Service and everything. And, of course, we got the Live and Let Die references with the Day of the Dead Festival and the whole look that Daniel Craig has with the turtleneck and everything. But we're getting new stuff like, obviously, we're getting the brand new Aston Martin DB10 and also the whole setting in Rome as well. Hey, back to Assassin's Creed. And not just that, something I think is a bit of a weird reference. As well as the new Aston Martin, we're also getting one of the new Jaguar models for the villain. And again, we're getting an Aston Martin versus Jaguar battle, more or less. And the last time that happened was in Die Another Day. That's got to be a weird reference, right?
that is throwing something off to the side there. That's just a very obscure reference.
Unless they're actually taking that idea and saying, we can do better.
What Spectre is doing, like Skyfall and Casino Royale, which Daniel Craig's Bond movies have managed to capitalise on, is very, very very back to basic James Bond. It's back to spying. It's not back to
less eyebrow waggling, as they say.
Yeah, so we're not going to have any for Timothy Dalton, I'm afraid, or Pierce Brosnan.
No, I prefer Timothy Dalton over Moore and Pierce on the basis that Dalton, arguably up until Craig, is the closest representation of the Bond character in the novels. So yeah,
definitely with Daniel Craig Bond being such an icon at the moment, it is quite essential, almost like a capitalisation for what British men should be in the eyes of the world. And regrettably, I'm afraid we're all going to have to get our turtlenecks out this week, this winter actually.
Yes. Well, at least it diminishes the whole Hugh Grant image that some countries have.
Actually, that being said, if we think about it, we're getting quite a lot of British actors and actresses in America that are actually paving the way to actually make a good impression on Britain. And so far, we've got, as we say, we've got Martin Freeman, we've got Benedict, as we've already mentioned, bringing the suave, and we've got Daniel Craig, who's bringing the intelligent turtleneck to the table.
Oh yes, it's not just stuff like Bond and Sherlock and stuff. It's we've basically been pushing ourselves out there for the past few years across many franchises as well. I mean, look at Tom Hiddleston, Ben Kingsley, Hayley Atwell. But back to Spectre, one of the most interesting things I think is the fact that of course, Spectre as the organisation is returning, and that's good. It looks like they've sorted out all the legal wranglings with using Spectre and Blofeld and all that stuff. But it's not just Spectre returning. Jesper Christensen, who was in Quantum of Solace and Casino Royale as Mr. White, leading figure of the Quantum organisation, is going to return in Spectre. So how do we think this connects Quantum with Spectre? Will Quantum become Spectre, or is Quantum a branch of Spectre? What's going to happen there, do you think?
Well, if we look at the logo that they've got for Spectre, it looks almost in a way like an octopus with its legs dangling down. As weird as that sounds, that's how I see it. Yeah. So,
well, that was the original. That was more or less how it looked in the past. So.
Yeah, I mean, we just got to look at it and we got to think: are those legs the offshoots organisations with Spectre being at the helm?
I like it. I like where you're going. I like it.
It's like, so there's basically, I think there's 8 legs, isn't there, on that? Is it 6?
Well, there's definitely 8 legs on an octopus. So basically, it's saying that Quantum is one of those legs.
Yeah.
And there are other legs.
Which could be what that meeting that James attends, where we get to introduce to the wonderful...
In that awesome trailer.
Yes. It's going to be a hard thing to do to top Javier Bardem's performance as a villain, but I think Christoph Waltz has got that down to a T.
Oh, God, yes.
I just love Javier Bardem in Skyfall. Mother has been very naughty. Brilliant.
Oh, right, well, we're going to go to a break now. So, as we've mentioned, Mr. White's returning from Casino Royale. Here's You Know My Name, the theme to Casino Royale.
A very apt choice.
And we're back. So, sticking with Bond.
I just peeled him off.
Yeah. So, sticking with Bond, I'm going to rub it in your face a little bit, Mr. Coleman, and no complaints, please.
I'm just going to ask if it be kept sanitary.
Now, last year, I went to the Bond in Motion exhibit down in London, which is going to be there for as long as popularity dictates, because it is very popular, as you can imagine. The single largest collection of screen-used Bond vehicles and props in the world, in one location. Yeah, and I went down there with Kristen to see all the cars and everything, and it was very exciting, and I was just basically rushing around like a madman. But there were a number of vehicles that weren't present. I mean, obviously you're going to get one or two exceptions, but one of them was the BMW Z3 from GoldenEye, which I was quite annoyed at because that was my first Bond car. The Aston Martin DBS from On Her Majesty's Secret Service, and most prominently, the Aston Martin DB5 from Goldfinger and Thunderball. Now then, like I say, you're going to get a few exceptions that are going to be in other collections that are posted around the world and everything. Like, I think there's one in Southeast Asia, one of the staff members said, but the DB5 in particular from Goldfinger, probably one of the most iconic Aston Martins in Bond history.
Oh, definitely. It's a fantastic car, and there's nothing more entertaining than watching Sean Connery in that car in Goldfinger.
Oh, yeah.
So first you've got Goldfinger, then you've got Golden's Eye. Next thing we know, we're going to get Golden's Arm.
The thing about the Aston DB5 from Goldfinger is that we don't know where it is. Basically, it's been missing since 1997, which is when Tomorrow Never Dies came out. So basically, it's been missing for 18 years.
I may have a theory on where it is.
Go on.
I believe somebody double parked it in London and it got towed.
I wouldn't be surprised actually. But apparently it was in the collection of someone in Central America, and that's when it went missing. Now, the best case scenario is that it's in a garage somewhere and it's been forgotten, because at least it will all be there, it will be intact and everything. Obviously, the worst case scenario, it'll be all dismantled, taken apart, smelted, whatever. Hopefully that's not happened, because we want to see this thing back, don't we?
Oh, definitely. I mean, it is an icon of British automobiles, and ironically, coming back to your wonderful title, one of the best of British.
It's the best British thing in the world.
Which caps a lot of British things.
Yes.
We all know Aston Martins were fantastic cars, though. They were great cars.
Oh, yeah. And now they're back in British hands.
Well, thank goodness for that.
Reclaim that title. Yes. Thankfully, there is the DB5 that featured in GoldenEye. That's at the Bond in Motion exhibit that people can still go see. And that was the exact same Aston DB5 that I saw in the Media Museum when it was still the Photography Museum.
Oh,
when it came in the mid-90s, late 90s.
Yeah.
I can't remember what year it came for the Bond exhibit that the museum did. But yeah, so when I saw that car again in London last year, I felt a certain something. That car is actually part of someone's private collection now. And it's just on loan with all the others. All the others are owned by Eon.
Are we actually talking security like the Tower of London kind of security? You go there and you will lose your head if you touch it.
Some people went missing when we were there. But they have barriers around the cars, and the barriers that were around the cars owned by the actual production company, Eon, they were quite close, but the one around the Aston Martin, it was like 6 foot away at the most, It was quite, they couldn't really get anywhere near it.
That is pretty good. I mean, I'd just like to interrupt now. I've just received confirmation from MI6 that there was nothing untoward going on about these missing people, so we can now broadcast that.
Good. But anyway, back to the thing. There is a campaign that I'm hoping to boost with the Fandomain, trying to track down this Aston DB5. I mean, realistically, this might not do much, but if it can, we want to do something, don't we?
Oh, yeah.
So there's a link to a campaign for anyone with any information. That'll be in the link in the description below if you're listening to the YouTube or on the blog, which is still YouTube, but on a link on the blog. Whichever way, have a look, see if you can spread the message out there at least. So
I think we'd all appreciate that. We want it back, don't we?
Bring it home, boys. Bring them home.
Oh yeah. Speaking of stuff that happened years ago, something happened in the 90s to our childhoods when we were developing out of the Thomas the Tank Engine phase to the Star Wars phase, and that was Thunderbirds being shown again on screens in the 90s, as well as other Jerry Anderson classics like Captain Scarlet and Stingray, but Thunderbirds was definitely a major part of my childhood, and I imagine it was for yours.
It was definitely. I mean, there was nothing more entertaining than watching Thunderbirds. I mean, I didn't even realise there were puppets on the first viewing until obviously a few months later when my parents actually brought the news to me. They're puppets.
Cannot you see the strings?
I wasn't watching the strings. I was so in awe at what was actually happening. I was watching Thunderbird 1 take off on a regular basis. It was fantastic. I think I was one of the many children around that had a fully operational Tracy Island. And
I've still got my Tracy Island.
What's more concerning is I actually found my nursery school report the other day, and my mum was looking through it with me and just goes, Paul, I've got to show you something. Throughout this nursery school report, there were numerous, I think about 20 references on the 25 pages that were written about me in relation to Thunderbirds. Me painting Thunderbirds with excellent colour coordination, me using building bricks to actually create a Thunderbird 1 operating garage, using a replica of Thunderbird 1 that could take off, as well as Thunderbird 2. Unfortunately, Thunderbird 4 was not available at that time. But as I say, it was that impactful on me that it actually became noted that it was my favourite theme throughout my nursery school years.
Well, there you go.
I mean, with Jerry Anderson, he was a genius.
Definitely. And his work's still being produced.
It is, yeah.
The brand new book that's been developed from his original notes. And
Sorry, Anderson family, I can't remember what the name of the book is.
But we've still got his writings coming out today.
I mean, effectively, what Thunderbirds and Captain Scarlet did, it gave me a weird sense of fear at the time. I was terrified of the Mysterons in Captain Scarlet. As soon as I saw them rings appearing, I was like hiding. Daleks have nothing against me. I faced Daleks in my life, and there have been many of them. But the Mysterons couldn't do it. Mysterons, I have to hold my hands up. I would surrender to the Mysterons. I would face extermination from a Dalek, but I would surrender to the Mysterons.
It just reminds me of that Bill Bailey thing when he's doing the music and he's got the lights.
Yeah.
And back up from the Mysteron display team. But completely know what you're talking about. I liked Captain Scarlet, but I was more of a Thunderbirds kid.
Oh, definitely.
Now, the whole reason we bring up Thunderbirds is of course this year they came back. Thunderbirds are go. They are go again. How do we like the new series?
I have to say, the first episode of that was it's one of them things that you watch with trepidation. You're thinking to yourself, is this going to be any good?
Oh, yeah.
As being an old fan. But as soon as you heard the original, 5...
Yes.
The
legendary voice of Jeff Tracy. The original actor who played him unfortunately passed away quite some years ago now.
Yeah.
And, that's a bummer. But hopefully my impression at the beginning of the show was in good taste.
It definitely was British. British.
It's definitely not going on by audition reel for Thunderbirds I Go. Subtle hint to ITV Studios.
I mean, admittedly, when I saw Thunderbird 1 take off again, I had the biggest smile on my face ever, and I was just sat... I think it was about 5 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon when the first one aired.
Showed it in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a double bill as well.
It was the first two. It was an hour special, and I was just sat there in glee eating pizza from wherever I'd ordered it. I'm just sat there just eating it and feeling, this is familiar, I know this.
Yeah.
And just people just wandering past, wondering what the heck I'm smiling about. And
it's got the spirit, hasn't it? It's got that spirit of the original series.
It's got everything from the original series and adds that little dimension extra.
Yeah. But that's exactly it. That's why I was so excited after the first episode. I mean, I had to do this massive blog post review on it. swift-inspiredinspiration.blogspot.co.uk.
It's available to view on your pleasure.
And the week leading up to the next episode, my head was just full of Thunderbirds rattling around in there because there were many things to look at and to consider, and it's not just about bringing that spirit back, it's building on it like you touched on, it's evolving it and it's bringing it up to date. I mean, this is Thunderbirds for the generation of Transformers, for the generation of superheroes, for the generation of whatever.
It's like Thunderbirds was a program before its time in a weird way.
Kind of.
It's like
this is another thing as well. In the original series, there was some things about it that would be very dated now, that were very of its time, like everything was nuclear powered.
Yes.
And now, in Thunderbirds I Go, nuclear power is an energy you do not want to mess with. It's dangerous, and, rightfully so. And as well as that, the title, quote-unquote, characters as well, the Thunderbirds themselves, they've been updated amazingly, I think.
Oh, definitely.
All right, obvious question. Which Thunderbird's your favourite from the new series?
It's a difficult challenge.
It is.
It's hard to pin them down because it's like, I always had a dislike for Thunderbird 5 in the original series.
Yeah.
But I find myself enjoying Thunderbird.
It was hardly in the original series, though.
It's there. It's
and
Thunderbird 5.
And Thunderbird 3 was in the original series even less. It was like 2 episodes. God.
I think it was like Thunderbird 3 and Thunderbird 5 were the ones I didn't play with as much.
Yeah.
Thunderbird 1 and Thunderbird 2, they was like mission rescue, let's go.
Oh, yeah.
It's like...
They were the primary.
Yeah. It's like if you ever had Friend Circle, you would have Thunderbird 1 and you would have Thunderbird 2, and somebody else would be Thunderbird 4. Thunderbird 3 and Thunderbird 5, you didn't include them in your Friend Circle. Yeah. If you knew somebody who wanted to be Thunderbird 3, you disowned them.
Yeah.
In the original when you watched the original series.
The person who was Thunderbird 4 would always piggyback on Thunderbird 2.
Exactly.
Yeah, they go together. But now we've got...
I mean, Thunderbird 3... I'm a fan of Thunderbird 3. I mean, it's like it's got grappling hooks now. Grappling hooks!
Yeah, that's the thing. They've made so much sense of the designs as well. All the details and everything. The designs that would be considered strange now, they've actually done something to them in order for them to make sense. Like the struts, the 3 arms on Thunderbird 3, because if you put the original design to a real rocket, they're going to collapse. They're going to disintegrate. But now, properly functional and everything, and used to dock with Thunderbird 5 as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's just evolved. It's evolved so well, and I have to merit as well that the voice acting throughout Thunderbirds I Go is well cast. I mean, it felt a bit shaky in the opening episodes, obviously, when the characters were developing.
It's going to do
that anyway.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, lots of new series are going to do that.
Yeah.
And obviously, within the first 10-15 minutes, they've got to establish as much as possible. And, obviously, you get the bit of a rush on. But after the first half hour, that's when it sort of steadies a bit. That's when you've got the impact of, hey, it's back, okay.
I don't think there's anything more entertaining in the hour of television that we saw when Thunderbirds came back as these 3 following items. 1, Thunderbird 1 taking off. 2, the entire Thunderbirds countdown. And 3, Lady Penelope telling Parker what to do. Yes, my lady.
Yeah. Oh yes, definitely.
It's always classic to have.
the original guy who voiced Parker, David Graham. You know, he's back as Parker.
I know, it's just brilliant to see Parker and Lady Penelope back on our screen,
Yeah.
because they were the spy team of our childhood.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, definitely. I mean, what I like as well is, especially with Parker, is that in the original series it was constantly referenced how he used to come from a criminal background almost, and now we can definitely see it with the black leather jacket and everything.
He wasn't a member of the British Brotherhood of Assassins, was he?
I'll have to look into this.
This will be clarified later.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Penelope was an assassin, but no. Or KO.
Assassin's Creed, Thunderbirds.
But yeah, Thunderbirds definitely back, and they are FAB.
I don't think they've ever not been FAB.
But considering what's been in the show so far and what we have seen less of that we like, what do you think we need to see? Because they've only shown 13 episodes of Series 1 so far, and they've got another 13 to go for the end of the year. So what are we looking forward to seeing the most?
I'm looking forward to more of this establishment of, obviously, the Hood again, because the Hood is it's a British bad guy, a British made bad guy, and there's nothing more entertaining than, even with children's shows, because it is effectively a children's show, but everybody enjoys it, and there's nothing.
We are children inside.
We are, and there's nothing more entertaining than actually sitting down and getting behind a bad guy and getting to hate that bad guy. It's like a panto in a way.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
It's like, he's behind you, but you enjoy hating the bad guy. That he's a bad guy that you like to know what he's thinking.
Otherwise, he wouldn't be a good bad guy.
It's definitely, there's so much character development to come for all of the characters. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing more action on Thunderbird 5, ironically.
Yes.
And Thunderbird 4.
This is the thing with the absence of Jeff Tracy. I believe that's allowed, elements like Thunderbird 5 to have more of a pivotal role with the rescues and everything, and with Thunderbird 3 also, But
I mean, the Jeff Tracy absence is
we don't know where he is.
It's quite ominous, isn't it?
But now I have a theory. But first of all, for those of you who are not so certain, of course, Jeff Tracy, the father of the 5 brothers, former astronaut as well, helped develop the Thunderbirds from the start. In the beginning, in the first episode of this new series, he was mentioned, but he wasn't seen, and he was mentioned that he was involved in a crash with the Hood. But we don't know what happened. We don't know what happened with the crash. We don't know what happened as a result of it or anything. We just know that there was an incident, and both of them were involved. Now, I think it was one of the producers or one of the writers of the new series that mentioned that we will see Jeff at some point, like in Series 2 or Series 3, which makes it almost very certain that he is not dead. Leads into my theory of how he's not actually missing. This is because, as well, we haven't seen that much of Tracy Island. We've only really seen the inside of both hangars and the main living area.
Just by the pool.
Yeah, which makes me believe that Jeff Tracy is in something like a coma. He's on life support or something inside Tracy Island. The brothers are actually, as well as Grandma Tracy, they are actually taking care of him.
That does have merit, because there is quite... It's very rarely referenced in everybody.
And it is a large island as well, so
I mean,
we don't know everything.
Definitely wouldn't surprise me if that was that'd be a nice plot twist, actually.
That's my call, that's my call,
I'm putting $5 on that as well.
All right. We at the Fandomain do not advocate gambling in any way. What's it? Yeah, I can bet you a tenner you can't stop gambling. You're on. Roger and the Rotten Trolls. Brilliant. But yes, so that's my prediction, and as it seems, our prediction for the re-emergence of Jeff Tracy. Now, for myself personally, I'm excited to see more with Thunderbird Shadow and KO, because the vehicle's been introduced, brand new Thunderbird. Yes, brand new Thunderbird, and it fits in so well with the others as well. I mean, the first time we saw it with Thunderbird 3, 1, and 4 in the background, just to sort of punctuate that it's part of the family. Yeah. And it looks so good with all of them, and it didn't really take me long to realise why it looks so good with all the rest of them. It's because that the design is kind of based off the Angel jets in Captain Scarlet. So it's based on another Jerry Anderson classic, so that's kind of why it fits so well.
We're not going to have a Captain Scarlet and Thunderbird crossover, are we? That would be brilliant. Do you know? Then again, I'm sure the Mysterons will still terrify me.
Yeah. But do you know, in the original Thunderbirds, there was a link with the original Stingray?
Yes, I think.
Yeah, because Thunderbird 4 was designed by the same organisation that built the Stingray machine. there you go. But in the new series, obviously, may not be the case. Yeah, especially excited to see more of Thunderbird Shadow because apparently it's got a bike module in the cockpit. So it'll be able to swoop down low enough to the ground, and KO will be able to drop out of the cockpit onto a bike.
Do you think that's where? Do you think they've been relating to Joss Whedon's design for the bike that drops out of the Avenjet?
Yeah, obviously you got that image in mind, haven't you? But that's I think it was a coincidence.
Yeah, but I mean, regardless, Thunderbird Shadow would be significantly more impressive.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we just need to see it more. I mean, obviously it's a covert ops thing, so of course you're not supposed to see it that much. but seriously. But I think we've spieled enough about Thunderbirds for the time being. Obviously we'll return more in the future. I think we're going to say adieu and goodbye, and very special thanks to Mr. Paul Coleman for contributing hopefully more in the future.
Yes, I mean, obviously I will pop to the future and see which ones we can discuss later.
We hope you can throw sci-fi at the wall with us too. Next time you tune into the Fandomain!